breath of late life. At the age of 60, time is no longer an enemy. It is no longer a burden to bear, but a precious ally. Life does not decline, it distills. Like a rare oil, it becomes purer, more precious, richer. The perception of time changes. It becomes a canvas on which the experience arises slowly, the colors more subtle, the touches more delicate. The world is no longer chasing you. You are finally free to listen to the whispers that have never stopped being there, but that you could not hear. You are entering this golden season where each day becomes a pearl, each breath a prayer. It is a time of refinement, of inner resonance, where we begin to understand that old age is not synonymous with the end, but with completion. Life becomes a work of art, a story slowly sculpted by the hands of time. Aging is not about adding years to life, but life to years. Anonymous, but in this quest for serenity, there are also losses. This difficult moment when those we thought were closest move away. The bonds of blood, these invisible chains that have united us since childhood, are sometimes no longer enough to carry the weight of the silences, the pain of the body, the loneliness of the heart. What to do when those who have always been there dissipate? How do you continue when you find yourself alone, surrounded by a world that no longer seems to understand? What if the strongest pillars were not the ones we expected? What if the most loyal support came from elsewhere? It's not just our children, our friends, or our loved ones who help us overcome challenges. Sometimes the greatest support comes from what we already have within us. It is in solitude that we often find the deepest, most unexpected resources. But it is not an easy path. Loneliness can be a heavy burden to bear, and it is difficult to accept that the world no longer revolves around us the same way it once did. However, perhaps life pushes us to detach ourselves from these visible links, to reconnect with the essence of our being. This moment of introspection, this moment of absence from others, becomes a return to yourself, to this interior light which does not depend on anything external. And you, who or what do you cling to when everything seems to be crumbling? When the outside world becomes blurry, what is left to guide you? 1. Spiritual connection, the energy of the invisible. The first pillar is invisible. It cannot be seen, but it is there, felt by the heart and the mind. It is this inner breath, this tenuous but powerful thread that connects us to something greater than ourselves. Spirituality is a mysterious connection, a divine breath which passes through souls without noise. At age 60, when the outside world begins to fade, there comes a time when one begins to listen, which we have never really heard. It's like a distant whisper, but getting clearer and clearer. It is in this silence that we find peace. Life has been noisy, hectic, hurried, but at that moment, a profound change takes place. The soul begins to listen to its own breath. Calmness is the true nature of the soul. Everything else is just hustle and bustle. Hindu proverb. This pillar doesn't need demonstrations or material proof. It is simply a matter of open up to the invisible, to connect to what is beyond the senses. Their prayer, the meditation, the silent reflection become sacred spaces where we find peace, love, and guidance. It is in these moments that we realize that life has a meaning, a purpose, much greater than what we had imagined in the frenzy of youth. Those who walk with God never really grow old. They become eternal. Anonymous. This spiritual connection becomes stronger as the years pass, because the wisdom that comes from it transcends the illusions of youth. We realize that it is not the quest for success or material possessions that brings us peace, but let go, the reconnaissance that we are part of a greater whole, that everything in nature has a purpose and meaning. Relief does not lie in what you have, but in what you women of oneself. It is in silence, in self-forgetfulness, that connection to the soul becomes stronger and more authentic. What if your pain was a silent call to reconnect with your essence? What does your heart whisper to you when everything becomes calm around you? 2. The body as a temple, the art of taking care of yourself. After age 60, the body is no longer a simple work tool. He becomes a sacred temple, a place of listening and respect. This temple has stood the test of time. He bears the marks of life, the scars of past wounds and happiness, but he's still there. It reminds us, every day, that we are alive, that we are still capable of loving, of feeling, of nourishing ourselves. The body, at this age, is no longer something to be pushed away, but honorary. Every pain, every stiffness, every little inconvenience is a message. Learning to listen to this message means understanding that the body often speaks better than words. It teaches us to slow down, to take care of ourselves with devotion, to treat us with kindness. Let your food be your first medicine. Hippocrates. Holistic medicines remind us that living food, the plants, the conscious breathing, and even the slow brands are sacred practices. It's not about diet or performance. It's about reconnecting with a natural rhythm and deep respect of the body. It's about listening to what you feel, taking the time to breathe deeply, of course to rest in gratitude and gentleness. He who controls his breath controls his life. Taoist proverb. Taking care of yourself at this age is not a luxury. It's a sacred act, a living meditation. Each movement becomes a prayer, each meal a way of nourishing the soul as much as the body. It is no longer a question of chasing an ideal, but of align yourself with the truth of your own body, to honor him, to listen to him in his wisdom. Here is the continuation of the development of the other sections, each reaching approximately 600 words as requested. 3. Nature as mother, finding the source. There are moments in life when we feel the silent call of the earth. Those moments when, for no apparent reason, the soul seeks a return. Not a return to the past, but a return to origins, to what was there before everything, long before human concerns and their constructions. Nature, with its majestic silence, seems to speak a language that we have long forgotten, but which nevertheless is naturally familiar to us. At an advanced age, we realize that the earth has always been there for us, a silent support but constant. Trees, these giants who ask for nothing but give everything, are there to teach us patience. The wind, invisible but omnipresent, teaches us the fluidity of existence, that everything changes but nothing really disappears. The water that flows endlessly reminds us that everything has a movement, a direction, a path to follow. Go to nature, and you will find rest for the soul. Leo Tolstoy. This third pillar has no walls or doors. He is unlimited, free. It does not need to be seen to be understood. Just close your eyes and open yourself to what is bigger than yourself. This is not a quest, but a return home. A return to the source, where simplicity and beauty are endless. It is in the nature that we find true peace, where we can breathe without pressure, connect without judgment, free ourselves without effort. Walking barefoot on the fresh grass, breathing the pure morning air, listening to the bird song without worrying about the outside world, it is an act of healing. Human beings, in their ancestral wisdom, knew that nature does not judge you. She takes you as you are and helps you find your inner balance. Trees don't ask us to be perfect. Just like the earth doesn't ask grass to grow faster, nature does not judge or compare. She welcomes, she neat. When man listens to the leaves, he remembers that he has a heart. Japanese proverb. It's amazing how nature has always been present in our lives, even when we were too busy to notice it. Yet, at a given moment, when everything seems to be collapsing around us, it is nature that reaches out to us, a gesture of unconditional love. This gesture can be a walk in the park, a simple contemplation of a sunset, or even observing the passing seasons with a fluidity that we humans no longer know how to imitate. Nature is an unshakable pillar. She supports us without ever weakening. She invites us to find our true essence, to reconnect with the universe in its purest and simplest form. When was the last time you hugged a tree? Have you given him your gratitude for the peace he offers you silently? 4. Shared wisdom. The circle of awakened souls. There is a form of spiritual solidarity which is not measured in kilometers, but in souls. Sometimes blood ties are not enough to sustain us. In these moments, we discover that there are souls who are linked to us by nothing other than understanding, compassion, and pure love. These are beings who, without ever having met us, understand us deeply. People who offer us their light, without expecting anything in return. These souls, often unknown, become headlights in the dark. The strongest supporters do not always come from those we expect. Sometimes it could be a neighbor who heard a kind word, a stranger who smiles at us in the street, or even a mind reader who, with a simple message, reminds us that we are not alone. In these moments, these awakened souls light up flames of hope in our hearts, flames that will not go out. Better a close neighbor than a distant brother. Biblical proverb: create a circle, even virtual, becomes a necessity. It's not about being surrounded by thousands of people, but about creating spaces where you can be authentic, vulnerable, and share your experience. It is in these moments of sharing that we find a collective healing, a quiet strength which unites us all, a community which, even silent, nourishes and supports the unity of souls. This circle, whether real or digital, becomes a form of medicine for the soul. Each soul that integrates it brings a different light, a unique perspective. This is what mixture of wisdoms which allows everyone to feel seen, listened to, and loved, in their shadow areas as well as in their bursts of light. We don't heal alone, we heal together. A single awakened soul is enough to light thousands of hearts. It is essential, especially at this age, to surround yourself with those who understand, those who share our experiences, us doubts, and which help us transform them into force. This circle becomes our refuge, a constant source of energy and light in a world that is often too noisy. Who in your life has supported you without obligation, just out of love? Have you thanked this soul for its presence, even if silent, in your life? Here is the complete development of the Part 5. The Late Mission, finding a role after retirement, with approximately 600 words in a style inspired by Stoic philosophy, soft and peaceful. The Late Mission, finding a role after retirement. From the age of 60, society often tends to consider that a person's role in public or social life ends. Young people take over, and those who have lived through the ages are seen as witnesses of the past. But this vision, although understandable in the context of a culture that values immediate productivity, misses the very essence of what it means to age: transmission. This fifth pillar is a call to silent dignity, to the importance of recognizing that we are never too old to contribute. At 60, the years lived, the successes, the mistakes, and the trials are treasures of lessons. These lessons must not be lost to the oblivion of future generations. On the contrary, they must be shared to light the path of those who follow. The purpose of life is not only to live, but to transmit life. Seneca: old age is not a time when one withdraws from the world, but a time when one becomes a guide. Modern society tends to push the elderly away, to make them believe that their usefulness is reduced to a simple, quiet existence. Yet every life lived is a manual, a compendium of invaluable wisdom. As the hair turns gray and the steps become slower, the real treasures of life are not in what is visible, but in what we have learned over the years. To transmit becomes an act of healing. Wisdom is only valuable when it is shared. This pillar is built on the idea that the lived experience is not to be kept for oneself, but to be given to others. There is no need to make fiery speeches or share revolutionary ideas. What matters is authenticity, gestures, and words, and the desire to help others avoid the same mistakes, or better understand the challenges they face. An old man who dies is a library that burns. African proverb: the act of passing on wisdom can be as simple as a quiet conversation with a young person, a look of understanding when things seem insurmountable, or writing a book that shares experiences, failures, and victories. It is in this silence of the transmission that lies a form of pure beauty. We give without waiting. We help without trying to shine. At 60, you may already be retired. You may have stopped working in the traditional sense, but there is no such thing as retirement for the soul. The soul does not rest. It reinvents. It finds its role in contemplation, in listening, in support. Your mission is to pass on what you know to those around you. You have horizons to open, of the doors to open, even if this is no longer done on a traditional worksite. It is important to realize that this is not an imposed role, but a chosen mission. It's not about being at the forefront, but about letting young people move forward and reaching out to them when the need arises. You become a bridge builder, connecting the experience of the past with the enthusiasm of the future. You are a living witness, trials and victories, and this experience is a precious light to offer to those around you. What wisdom are you afraid to keep to yourself? What if this wisdom is exactly what someone somewhere needs to move forward in life?